It is the 10th of February 2025. Good morning and very warm welcome to this brand new edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. To take you through what to expect on this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown, our top story is on a fatal bus accident that has been reported from Kurunegala. 4 lives are said to have been lost. And also the CEB is set to submit a report to the Ministry of Power and Energy on yesterday's nationwide power outage. Also, President Anura Dissanayake is set to depart the island today to the United Arab Emirates. There is also good news for all local and international tourists, as a brand new train service is set to begin its operations today. These are just a few of the local news items that we are prepared to cover on the Breakfast Rundown this morning. International news concern China's tit-for-tat taxes on certain American goods, as well as Israel's withdrawal from a military zone that is splitting the Gaza Strip. Let's dive right in. Moving on to the top local news item this morning. 4 people have died in a collision between 2 passenger buses in Thorayaya, Kurunegala. A spokesperson of the Kurunegala hospital said that more than 20 people were injured in this accident. Among the deceased are 3 men and 1 woman. The spokesperson further mentioned that 4 of the injured people are now in critical condition. One of the buses was travelling from Madru to Colombo, route to Kurunegala from Khadruela. Let's take a look. On to more local news now. A short-term report on yesterday's nationwide power outage will be submitted by the Ceylon Electricity Board to the Ministry of Power today. Chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board, Dr. Tilak Simbalapatia, said that the causes for the nationwide power outage will be revealed through this report. He added that a final decision regarding whether there will be any more power cuts in the future will be announced today. He went on to note that a study is being conducted on possible emergency power outages under the current circumstances. Accordingly, the Ceylon Electricity Board is expected to announce its decision on providing uninterrupted daily power supply later today. Now, President Anura Dissanayake is set to undertake an official visit to the United Arab Emirates from today, that is the 10th of February, to the 13th of February, at the invitation of the President of the UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, to participate in the World Government Summit 2025. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism says that during the visit, President Dissanayake will address the World Government Summit 2025 in Dubai and hold bilateral discussions with President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on a range of areas of mutual interest. He is also scheduled to meet Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Further, President Dissanayake will also hold bilateral discussions with heads of state and governments from various countries who will be attending this summit. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says that President Dissanayake will also engage with a number of CEOs of leading global companies in the sectors of IT, AI, energy, tourism, finance and media in order to attract investments to Sri Lanka. Ambassador Indra Mani Pandey, Secretary General of BIMSTEC, paid a courtesy visit to the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, at the Prime Minister's office. During the meeting, Prime Minister Amarasuriya welcomed Ambassador Pandey and expressed Sri Lanka's continued commitment to regional cooperation within BIMSTEC. The discussions focused on key areas of collaboration, including health, human resources development and digitalization, where Sri Lanka has played a leading role. Ambassador Pandey highlighted the importance of strengthening these sectors to drive economic and social development among BIMSTEC member states. The upcoming 6th BIMSTEC summit, scheduled to be held in Thailand, was also focused during this discussion. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security, R.M. Jayawardena, says that the registration of cooperatives as lending institutions has been suspended until further notice. The decision follows financial irregularities committed by officers elected through cooperative elections. Deputy Minister Jayawardena highlighted several significant cases of fraud involving rural banks, including the Maharagama Bank, which has defrauded over 1 billion rupees, the Ratmalana Rural Bank with a similar amount, and the Gampaha Bank, where fraudulent activities amounted to approximately 750 million rupees. He emphasized that cooperatives seeking to register as lending institutions by raising money and converting into such institutions will not be allowed to register until further notice. Additionally, he assured that justice will be given to the victims and the relevant act is ready to be amended to address the existing issues. This morning on the Breakfast Rundown, we are ready to bring to you some good news regarding the tourism sector of our country. Starting today, a new train service will be added to the upcountry railway line. This has been named the Alla Odyssey Nanu Oya train service. The Department of Railways says that it will operate every day except Tuesdays and will depart Nanu Oya for Badulla at 8:10 a.m. It is scheduled to reach Badulla at 11:36 a.m. The Alla Odyssey Nanu Oya train service is also scheduled to depart Badulla for Nanu Oya every day except Mondays at 1 p.m. It is scheduled to reach Nanu Oya at 5:17 p.m. The Department of Railways says that steps will be taken to increase the number of train journeys to meet the demand of local and foreign tourists. Meanwhile, the Alla Odyssey Colombo train service is also set to begin its operations today, with journeys scheduled every Monday. Let's move on to your weather update for this morning. The Met Department says that mainly fair weather will prevail over most parts of the island. There is a possibility of ground frost at some places in the Nuwara Eliya district in the early hours of the morning as well. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in the Gaul, Mathura, Badulla and Kurunegala districts during the morning. Moving on to the marine weather update. Mainly fair weather will prevail over sea areas around the island. Sea areas off the coasts extending from Colombo to Mannar via Putlam and from Mathura to Pottuvil via Hambantota will also be fairly rough at times. Let's move on to news overseas now. Our first international news item concerns China's and America's tit-for-tat tariffs that are being imposed on certain goods. China's import taxes on some American goods are coming into effect today as the trade war between the world's two biggest economies escalates and US President Donald Trump threatens to hit more countries with tariffs. Beijing announced the plan on the 4th of February, just minutes after new US levies of 10% on all Chinese products came into effect. On Sunday, Trump said he would impose a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminium imports into the US, with a full announcement to come today. Speaking to reporters on Air Force One en route to the Super Bowl, he said that he was planning reciprocal tariffs on other nations. However, he did not specify which ones would be targeted. China's latest tariffs on US goods include a 15% border tax on imports of US coal and liquefied natural gas products. There is also a 10% tariff on American crude oil, agricultural machinery as well as large engine cars. Last week, Chinese authorities launched an anti-monopoly probe into technology giant Google, with PVH and US owner-designer brands Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger was added to Beijing's so-called quote-unquote unreliable entity list. China has also imposed export controls on 25 rare metals, some of which are key components for many electrical products and military equipment. Trump's announcement over the weekend of plans to impose a 25% tax on the US's steel and aluminium imports comes just days after he reached deals with Canada and Mexico to avoid the 25% tariffs that he had threatened on all goods from these countries. He introduced similar measures during his first term as president of the US, imposing 25% tariffs on steel and 10% on aluminium, but later granted several trading partners duty-free quotas, including Canada, Mexico and Brazil. Allow me to shift your attention to the Middle East now. Israeli troops have withdrawn from the Netzarim corridor, which is a military zone cutting off the north of the Gaza Strip from the south. Hundreds of Palestinians in cars and carts laden with mattresses and other goods began returning to northern Gaza following the pullout, often to scenes of utter destruction. The Israeli withdrawal is in line with the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement on the 19th of January, under which 16 Israeli hostages and 566 Palestinian prisoners have so far been freed. By the end of the first stage of the ceasefire in 3 weeks' time, 33 hostages and 1,900 prisoners are expected to have been freed. Israel says 8 of the 33 are dead. Hamas seized 251 hostages and killed about 1,200 people when it attacked Israel on the 7th of October 2023, which is the incident that triggered the war in Gaza. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says that at least 48,189 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's offensive. The UN says that about 2/3 of Gaza's buildings have been damaged or destroyed by Israeli attacks. Well, that's a wrap of this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. You can join us tomorrow as well, right here on TV1 at 7 a.m. for more of the very latest from around the world and here at home. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.